Now, why would he need to appear to oppose any future motion? What motion did we say was coming up here that Liebowitz has an interest in not being on the hook for?
Boy, that's a really hard question, Lynn. I got to think about it.
This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below.
December of 2017, this gentleman named Matthew Bradley, who likes to take funny pictures or post funny puns and things to his Facebook page, took a photo of 5 spirit levels with blue painter's tape on them and wrote the word wrong on all of them. So it was a visual pun, wrong on so many levels.
That's very clever.
It is. It's very clever. And it went viral, understandably. He posted it to his personal Facebook page on a public setting. Meanwhile, over these few years, I had been growing the Analytical Grammar Facebook page. About a week and a half after Mr. Bradley shared it, somebody, and this happened all the time, and we had very loyal fans, and whenever they would see something that they thought we would like, they would send it to us via Facebook Instant Message. And so we got a Facebook Instant Message with this image attached to it. It had been downloaded and attached, so it wasn't a link back to the original post. So Melissa would usually do a reverse image search real quick to see if she could find somebody, it belonged to. Which she did then, and it was everywhere. It was on Reddit and Tumblr and Twitter, and you go to Google image searches and it was just all the same picture. Yeah. She's like, all right. So she shared it with the caption, wrong on so many levels, because why? Of course, that's the caption you would put on that picture. And it went viral off our page too, big time. All right. So that's December 2017. Fast forward to the summer of 2019. And actually, the first time I heard that I had been sued was from a Triangle Business Journal reporter who emailed me. I guess she'd read the docket or something. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you send me a copy of what you're looking at? So here I am sitting at my desk, wondering what to do, because I've just been, no other contact. I was never sent any kind of message, hey, take the picture down. Hey, put my...
no warning.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No communication.
I hear this often from what we call copyright trolls.
Yes.
They don't want you to take it down. They want to get their money.
So I contacted a local attorney, and I don't know how much he really read the suit itself. But he's like, yeah, you're just going to have to, pay a few $1,000s this guy to get rid of him. And that just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
It didn't. I mean, I have learned way more about copyright law in the last year and a half than I ever wanted to know. But that seemed like rewarding bad behavior, because I knew that I didn't really truly do anything wrong. And one of the many articles available on Mr. Liebowitz online, was an article where Dan Booth had been quoted talking about, defending people that Liebowitz had sued successfully. And so I called him. And so Dan, was certainly willing to take the case, and I felt much more comfortable with him and his fighting spirit, and not just paying somebody for bad behavior.
Good.
So we first offered a Rule 68 settlement for $500.
That's a good idea. I do that in my cases a lot too.
The picture wasn't copyrighted until almost a year after I shared it. So
it would be actual damages.
Monetary damages.
Right. And I don't even think you get attorney's fee shifting in a case with actual damages and copyright.
Not only was I sued for infringement, but I was sued for CMI removal.
Right. Section 1201.
Right. And
copyright management information, which is like author's name and attribution credit.
Right. And that's the one that really kind of pushed me over to okay, now I'm just mad.
And the minimum damages for that are higher. They're $2,500, not $750 statutory, and not actual damages.
Right.
So Liebowitz, as far as I know, likes to include that as often as possible, because that bumps up the damages, and he can ask for thousands instead of hundreds.
Right. But it was, a quick view of the caption history would show you that none of that, they talked about the stuff being on the photo. Well, it wasn't on the photo until a year after I shared it. Yeah. How could I remove something that wasn't there? So that was like
sneaky.
So once, it moved forward a few months and they're seeing things, discovery and all that stuff. Mr. Liebowitz actually contacted Dan and said, hey, would she settle for like 1,000? Now, by this time, my legal fees were like, I don't know, 22,000, something like that.
Holy mackerel.
And I said, no, I will settle if you pay my legal fees up to this point. And you can walk away before they get higher, which he didn't do. So then we kept going. Then we got to mediation. Now, mediation was fun, Leonard. I'm not going to lie. I was nervous. I've never been in a court situation like this before.
Yeah.
It was a video mediation. I did it here at the local attorney's office. Mr. Liebowitz was in New York. Mr. Bradley lives in California. So they were in by VTC. So we first all met, and so they're seeing me for the first time. I'm seeing them for the first time, other than, photos or whatever. And I think both of them were surprised it had gotten to this point, which doesn't really happen with him, right? Like,
yeah,
not a lot of Liebowitz cases keep going until here. So I said, I basically made the same offer. I said, look, I will be more than happy to stop this, but now my legal fees are about $35,000. So that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, but by the time you've gotten here, you're at something like 23 docket entries. You've answered the complaint. Attorneys have entered their appearances. You've gone through the case management process with the initial
all the
conference with
interrogatories
the
and
judge,
the answers,
and you've done all the discovery, which doesn't show up on the docket. So that's the expensive part of a case. The most expensive part is probably the discovery, and then if you can't settle it after discovery, then you get into what you had to do, which was summary judgment,
right.
Motion in limine, summary judgment. So many docket entries and so many exhibits need to be prepared. Your legal fees just start to shoot up towards the end of a case.
So we were all together, and then we separated, and the mediator would go back and forth between the two rooms.
Yeah.
And I gave her the background, and very calmly just said, I don't think I should have to pay anything, So as long as my legal fees are covered, I'm not asking, nor can I, but I'm not asking for anything else. That's right. What I want to be even Steven. So this is what I thought was so funny about how things worked at mediation. So in the deposition, Bradley had said that he never sold the photo ever.
Okay.
Never licensed it, but that he had an intention to sell T-shirts with through Cafe Press. Sure. Now I had a Cafe Press store for grammar stuff, so I actually knew how it worked. So Ms. Lido came back in and said, all right, so they're saying no to just paying your legal fees. But what they're offering is, if you'll in the lawsuit, that Mr. Bradley will start selling T-shirts with the meme on it and will share the profits with you. I think the original offer was like 75 to them and 25% to me. Okay. How
clever.
many different
That's a clever offer, but
explanations of how the market works do I need to go through to find all the holes in this plan? So, all right, my fees at this point were $35,000. So let's even say that he's going to make $10 from it. So I'm going to get $2.50 from each T-shirt. So you'd have to sell 14,000 T-shirts.
Yeah.
To pay my legal fees. Now, and both of them are like, oh, but I mean that meme went viral. People are going to go crazy for these T-shirts. Look, hitting the thumbs up or sharing a meme or an image.
Yeah.
It's not equivalent to buying a T-shirt with it.
Yeah, it's not.
Maybe Grumpy Cat, right? So just because it went viral 20,000 times doesn't mean you're going to sell 20,000 T-shirts. Again, that's not how the market works.
Yeah.
And then this was the cherry on top. So I literally did some rough math and handed it to her. And I was like, so they're telling me that they're going to sell 15,000 of these T-shirts. And but someday I'll, by the way, he has no way to market it.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he's 25% less motivated to do it because
exactly
his incentive is now reduced.
No, they were like, on my website and my Facebook page could sell the T-shirts to help make, okay.
So you can do the work to recover your own
Yeah,
fees.
yay me. Because that's what I wanted, is to keep in some sort of business deal with these two guys for the next 10 years. And so Miss Leto took that in there to them. It came back, and God bless her, she really was
trying to be a straight face. They said,
well, no, we can make money much more quickly and make a lot more money. We'll just sell the t-shirts for $100 each.
This man has never taken an economics course.
None. Well, I mean, I don't know much about Mr. Bradley's background, but you know, Mr. Liebowitz still lives with Broadway producer, as far as I know, Daddy, in this big mansion in New York City. I don't think basic economics or business stuff, obviously by the way his firm has been run, is you know, high on his list of things that he's well aware of. So I lost it.
Just like laughing
I was like,
in front of the mediator.
$100 for a t-shirt with some pictures with levels on it. Yeah. And in his brain, they're like, sell 10,000 t-shirts for $25,000 or sell 10,000 t-shirts for $100,000. It didn't occur to them that maybe a few people wouldn't want to pay $100 for that t-shirt, much less 25.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I mean, this is like the basics of supply and demand. Like,
right. Yeah. I will say in generalities, it's an entitlement culture thing. You know, they're just like, well, of course people should pay me $100 for this t-shirt, and not realizing that that's just not how this stuff works. Now, I had been publishing and selling books for years. I know how this works. If that's how it worked, I would just sell my program for $1,000 a pop and make 10 times more than I previously made.
Did you get a suspicion that he was oblivious to the economics of it, or maybe that he was intentionally going to sabotage it? You know, oh, we'll charge $100, then nobody buys it, and he's gotten out of it with you.
I got more of the oblivion feeling. Like there was, especially when we went back in at the end, from both of them, the questions that Mr. Bradley asked actually to me indicated that he may not really understand everything that was going on. I mean, in general, right? Mr. Liebowitz is not overly communicative with his clients. So, but Mr. Liebowitz looked kind of deer in the headlights by the end of it. Once I had said, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to talk about selling t-shirts off Cafe Press.
Yeah.
Either my legal fees get paid or we're going to keep going.
The train is now off the rails. Let's go get a crane and lift the car back onto the track and start going, you know, a couple hours from now.
Right. So yeah, so you know, I was like, that's it. So we went back in at the end, and it really looked like I was looking at two guys on the video screen that were just like, they couldn't believe that we hadn't come up to some sort of agreement.
But they threw the first punch. Back to the word you used, entitled, is some kind of absolute obliviousness to there being a real person on the other side of the lawsuit, on the other side of the screen. Well,
and you know, I don't like playing the pity me card at all. That's not the way I roll. So yeah, so mediation was done. Now we go to summary judgment, which takes forever.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, it's so much information, and the legal fees were just, you know.
You made the motion for summary judgment in July of 2020, and it was only just resolved last week. In March, or the beginning of March, for anybody watching this after.
So we were shocked. In fact, I'm sitting here at my desk. I've been on full-time military orders now for 14 months. I mean, a lot has happened. My company's closed. I'm now full-time military again for the first time in 20 years, which I love. And I telecommute it, most of it. So I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, but I'm assigned to a unit in Denver, Colorado. But I'm, sitting here working, and I get a text from Dan. It just, in all caps, we won. And I was like, what? I thought we were going to have to, go longer. Yeah. So I don't know why it sort of happened in that order. It kind of maybe came to the top of the pile on her desk, but yeah, we won.
And the grounds that you won on are really simple, but very interesting, because there was a saving grace built into Facebook's terms of service that we don't otherwise see this. This was because of the way Facebook's terms of service were written.
At the time, because they have since changed.
They have since changed it? Okay.
So we had to go back and find the current.
To be clear for my audience especially, this is not the rule. You don't automatically have the right to share somebody else's photo. And in your case, you could possibly have been held liable, except for this. This could have been the thing the case turned on. You also made a fair use argument. You also made an implied license argument. I'm not sure the court got to that point. And
she kind of stopped it. The Facebook said, when she got to the Facebook terms and went, well, this kind of solves it. Why do I need to read through all this other stuff? It was a fair use argument ruling.
Exactly. That was sort of disappointing. I was hoping for a whole thing, but I also understand that if I was the judge, if I found the thing that the case turns on, why would I then have to write about the other things? Especially if I'm a judge and I have already heard about Leibowitz's shenaniganery, his discipline and his suspension, and I'm getting ready to suspend him myself from this case. What is he really going to appeal? Who's going to appeal? He's not going to appeal. So, make it a short order, and then if he wants to attack it on appeal, oh well, deal with it then.
Right. Yeah, Dan, I know, was surprised that it was the Facebook terms. And so the current Facebook terms of service were redone, I think, 2 years ago. But the previous terms of service that were in effect when Mr. Bradley shared that photo on his Facebook page basically said if you post something to Facebook on a public setting, that it creates a license for anybody to share it and use it.
Yeah, it specifically says, Part 4, when you publish content or information using the public setting, it means you are allowing everyone, including people off of Facebook, to access and use that information and to associate it with you. Your name and profile picture. It doesn't say you shall credit. It just says you are allowing everyone to use that information. Right. Which is very broad and maybe a little bit terrible in the intellectual property sense.
Which may be why the current terms are not written that way.
Yeah. So because of that one sentence term, Liebowitz and that sort of betrays Leibowitz's due diligence in the case. Either he did his due diligence and just missed that, or he really wasn't assuming that Facebook had a term like that. But you have to go through that.
I'm pretty sure this is the case. In at least some of the documentation that he submitted, he was trying to use the current terms of service.
Oh, goodness.
And so, and again, that's the kind of stuff that just chaps me. I'm like, look, like you said, my uncle is an attorney. I have friends who are attorneys. I'm a proponent of the legal system. I think we've got some things we could fix, but it exists for a reason, to stop people from doing things they shouldn't be doing, either civil or criminally. I'm all about that. And by the way, I'm a big proponent of intellectual property rights. I've been publishing my mother's curriculum for years. So it's not like I don't understand, nor do I, I understand the importance of protecting the intellectual property of people.
Yeah.
And so the fact that something so petty, yeah. I mean, in his deposition, Mr. Bradley said, once sort of, he never said the thing about it coming up in his Facebook memories, but when he started changing the captions and all that stuff, he went looking for a CMI attorney, and he found Mr. Liebowitz, not the other way around. Now, I was the only person he sued. That photo was everywhere.
Why would he go after little old you?
I don't know. Yay, I'm so lucky. I don't know.
I mean, there's some kind of theory for plaintiffs that you don't want to go after the biggest fish because they can afford to defend themselves. You don't want to go after the poorest fish because they can't afford to pay. You want to go after somebody in the middle who is just too hassled to go through it and will just throw some money at you.
Mr. Bradley actually sent emails in, I know, to Reddit, asking for them to pay I think $50 licensing fee since his photo was showing up on their website. And they replied back, and I can't remember the exact quote, but something like "Go pound sand." Yeah. I don't know.
Politely saying "Go pound sand."
Yeah.
Dial 1-800-pound-sand.
So that kind of fits into what you're saying, right? I mean, goodness, I would think that the damages therein would be much higher for massive companies like Reddit or Instagram or Tumblr or whatever else they contacted. And there were other sort of smaller couple of grammar Facebook pages and stuff that shared it. It was everywhere. So I don't know why I'm just such a lucky girl. But I am. And, I'm a very just generally glass half full person. I am really hoping at the end of this that I'm not on the hook for what is now about $110,000 in legal fees. The GoFundMe has been great. I think it's up to $35,000.
Good.
So that's a lot because I've been making payments on this stuff for a year and a half now.
Okay.
Dan deserves to be paid for the work he's doing.
Yeah.
And it'll take me a long time to pay him off.
So, but I'm assuming that there's some sort of fee motion forthcoming.
Yes. Okay. I think it'll be next week. I think we have to wait 2 weeks and we file that.
Okay.
But yes, we are asking for all of it. Yeah, I'm hoping that won't take too long. I have no idea if it'll be like another 8 months before we hear back on that, especially because when I closed the company, I can't remember if I said this earlier or not, but when I closed the company, I ended up on the hook for some of the debt, even though my company was a corporation. Some of the debt I had personally guaranteed. Right. So I still have like $150,000.
That happens. Sometimes the bank won't give you a loan or a company won't give you credit unless you also personally guarantee the
right. Debt. So my finances are kind of a hot mess because of this, but I may not be the final straw that breaks this particular copyright lawyer's
I don't
back.
know why any one person would have to be, that he's done so much to do it to himself.
I know, but I at least can be a big straw and I can sort of hold my head up high and not feel like I have encouraged his behavior and therefore allowed him to keep doing it to other people.
Yeah.
If that means that it's going to take me a couple of years to dig out of debt, so be it. And I've told what I've talked about the GoFundMe, if I do get all of those fees back and that cover, let's say it covers absolutely everything. There's not an easy way to return donations on GoFundMe, especially for a lengthy fundraiser like this.
Yeah. Or even like prorate the refund either. That's hard to calculate for all those people.
Right. I do have a record of all of the donations. So, but I'm just I'll put them, I can message all of the donors and say, look, we got all the money back. If you would like to have your donation back, here's how you can contact me and I will send it to you. If I don't hear from you in, a month or whatever, then I'm just going to put that toward the debt left over from the company that I had to close because this happened anyway.
What do you think of this latest thing that has happened? So the judge ordered Liebowitz to show cause why he should not be basically suspended from the representation in this case because of all the other suspensions. Right. It calls into question his eligibility for special appearance under the local rules. Attorneys in good standing of a United States court may practice if they associate with a local member. However, in light of his suspension, Liebowitz is not in good standing in the bar of his home state, basically. And so then he responds. He says he was temporarily suspended. The court ordered him to show cause. He then says he didn't respond within 30 days. And he says then, could you please let me stay in the case? And that's it. That's what he says. In light of the clerk's entry of judgment dated March 3rd, in the interests of justice, Mr. Liebowitz respectfully requests leave of court to continue to appear as counsel for the limited purpose of helping plaintiff oppose any ancillary motion practice brought by defendant. Now, why would he need to appear to oppose any future motion? What motion did we say was coming up here that Liebowitz has an interest in not being on the hook for?
Boy, that's a really hard question. I got to think about it. It seems to me that there have been a few previous cases where the plaintiff himself hasn't been ordered to pay fees, but the attorney has.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got something to do with that.
And even if it's a general attorney's fees award to the defendant, from the plaintiff as opposed to the plaintiff's attorney, the plaintiff might then have some kind of claim against his attorney, depending on what the background relationship or agreement or did Liebowitz.
I mean, you remember when it was quite a few months ago, right? When somebody got their hands on one of the contingency agreements.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that's starkly missing from it is what happens if the plaintiff has to pay fees.
Yeah, and
right?
courts have held hearings about who pays the sanctions, and so there was that Glenn Craig matter where which I don't think we have that ruling yet. But the judge was trying to figure out, was it Liebowitz who screwed up or was it the client that screwed up? What was the relation? What did Liebowitz tell the client? Because you can't really ask that. That's not a really good, that's for the bar or the grievance committee to ask.
Right.
And so if, just a big if here, but you know, we can make some assumptions about Liebowitz. If he didn't properly inform his client of the risk that the massive fee award could shift back onto the plaintiff, maybe Liebowitz is personally responsible for some of the award.
I honestly, I wonder if Bradley's even aware that there was a ruling. I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible.
No idea.
Liebowitz could be figuring out how to couch it, how to position his response.
So Matthew, I got some bad news.
So I have another question, and I want you to feel perfectly free not to answer this one because this is part of your future legal strategy. But are you prepared if you get a fee award and they don't pay the fee award, then the next step would be to bring that as a judgment against Liebowitz and his client, like in their county, like to pursue execution of the judgment? Are you prepared to do that, to try and collect your money?
I can answer that personally, because honestly, it's not something that we haven't gotten to that step of discussion yet, but I don't know why I wouldn't. Again, it's an integrity thing. You did something, the court says you did something wrong. Yeah. The court says that you now need to pay.
And you're actually injured. You're a sincere defendant. This isn't you looking for a payday. This is looking to be made
Which is how this started on the other side, by the way.
Restored back to the original position you were in. And yeah, they were looking for a payday.
Right. I just want to not have my entire financial life completely ruined. I don't know. That
sounds pretty fair to me.
Right? And it's not, and bringing it back to zero sum. You know, I can't seek emotional damages or punitive anything or whatever. Yeah. All I can do is seek to just go back to the zero sum. And here's the other thing, though. That really can't happen, right? Because even if, let's say, every single dime of my legal fees gets reimbursed.
Yeah.
And let's say that 100% of the people who donated to my GoFundMe say, keep the money, put it toward debt. My company is gone. The company that I started with my mother. I no longer have control over the products that she wrote and and we wrote together some of the ancillary products. Now I'm thrilled and very supportive of the company that's now Demi Learning that now publishes it, and I know they're going to do an amazing job. But it's still, that's part of my connection with my mom.
And that decision, was that intertwined with this case? Did you make that decision in whole or in part because of this case?
Oh yeah, because I couldn't afford it anymore. I literally couldn't afford to keep my company going. The company didn't have a few extra tens of thousands of dollars to throw at attorneys. And so then working full time and then trying to keep the company afloat and it, still trying to pay the attorneys. And at that point I was like, this rolling ball of hot mess is going to come in and crash. And what I didn't want to have happen is for it to crash in a way that would make the grammar program just cease to publish. So that's why I chose to transfer the IP to another company and then just close the company. But that left me on the hook so
that your mother's legacy would be preserved and all those people who could benefit from her hard work would continue to be available.
Those products that my mom had worked so many years on, and it really is an amazing grammar program, would just still be available. So it's definitely all is all part of it. You know, me going full-time military is part of it. Closing AG is part of it.
Yeah.
But none of this would have happened.
The case and Liebowitz and Bradley, in a way, took the choice, the agency and the choice away from you. And although you made the best decisions you could with what you had, they still forced you to make those decisions under circumstances that you could have chosen. You could have made different choices if you didn't have this.
I think, and again, I think it's part of an entitlement mindset. Well, I made something and I should get paid for it. Okay, then go work for that. That's how it works. I did it for years and years and years, writing these books and trying to sell them because that's how the market works. But an entitlement mindset says, I made something and I should get paid for it. So, you know, they kick off a lawsuit like this, which to them might not seem like a big deal, mainly because they're fully expecting little old me just to write him a check for a few grand and call it done. And it's not, the domino set that this started is insane. Like, if you really look at how completely upended everything has been, for me, because of this picture of some levels with blue painter's tape on them. Well, and it was kind of cute. So the Analytical Grammar Facebook page, you know, when they announced it last week, Ethan Demi, who's the owner of the company, he's a friend of mine. He took a picture of some levels with the word right on all of them. And that's how he announced that I'd won the lawsuit.
That's clever.
I'll send you, I think I may have shared it on my Twitter, so you can get to it from there.
Excellent.
But it was very, very cute.
Well, I'm going to probably post a screenshot of that in my video, so I hope I don't get sued. No,
in fact, he even says in the caption that you can freely use that photo for whatever you like.
There we go. Good, I'm reassured. You fought for the cause, you fought for yourself, and you won, and that's really remarkable. So thank you, Erin Karl. I really appreciate you meeting with me today, and
likewise.
Look forward to seeing how the rest of it plays out.
I'll let you know. I'll see you on Twitter.
Thank you for watching. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney, and this is Lawful Masses, your favorite legal news and education channel here on YouTube. You can also find us on Floatplane and on twitch.tv/lawfulmasses on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Our channel is community supported by your monthly financial contributions on patreon.com/ljfrench, sponsors.com/law, through YouTube memberships, and through Floatplane subscriptions. Thank you to the following $50 plus supporters in the month of March: Joe Tyson, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Spirit Bear, Andy, Benjamin Hitov, Ugly Grill, Rudolph Bescherer Jr., Brandyn Abel, Torpedan, Cassandra Curran, Sovereign Tittizen, ShadowTycho, RDHDragon, and Earthbound Star. And thank you as well to the $5 plus supporters who are scrolling on your screen. I hope everyone has a great week. I will see you in the videos that drop. I love you all. Bye.
I'm not a cat.